You are listening to The Tatiana Show. This show may contain adult content, language, and humor and is intended for mature audiences. If that's not you, please stop listening. Nothing you hear on The Tatiana Show is intended as financial advice, legal advice, or really anything other than entertainment. Take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Oh, and if you're listening to us on an affiliate network, the ideas and views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of the network that you're listening on or of any sponsors or any affiliate products you may hear about on this show. Now that that's squared away, let's start the show. Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto. Salt offers cash loans collateralized by Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. When you apply for a loan with Salt, there are no income checks, no credit checks, and no origination fees. If you choose to have your loan funded in stablecoin, including USDC, TrueUSD, or PAX, you may not even need a bank account. Salt offers comprehensive insurance for your collateral assets and keeps them locked in deep cold storage, where they are protected by a robust multi-sig process for the duration of your loan. With Salt's online platform or mobile app, you can track the health of your loan or make deposits and payments on the go. You can also pay back as much as you want, whenever you want, and wrap up your loan at any time. There are no prepayment penalties. Once your loan has been paid back, your assets are returned to you. Visit saltlending.com/Tatiana to sign up for an account and start exploring your options today. saltlending.com/Tatiana. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tatiana Show. Today, I'm joined with Josh Shigala out in Berlin. Hey, Josh, how's it going?
Hey, Tatiana, it's going wonderfully. Yeah, thank you.
And we're going to be talking with Michelle Ray, who I've worked with at Crypto Media Hub. But before I bring her on, I wanted to talk to you, Josh, because something very exciting happened the past few days in your life. Would you like to tell our audience?
Oh, yes. I finally, after 20 years, I married the girl I love. And we went up to Denmark and hitched up. And then I took the certificate of marriage and we took a selfie and we hashed that into the Bitcoin blockchain so that we hopefully in the future don't have to pay for lawyers and notaries and stuff like that to prove anything. We can just say, look, there it is, time-stamped, and here's the original, hasn't changed.
How did you do that? Can anybody do it?
Yeah, anyone can do it. I used proofofexistence.com. And basically, uploaded a hash there. And I then, if you go to a SHA-256 hash website, there's plenty of them. You can upload the same picture just to check that the same hash gets generated, and it will. And what is a hash is for another subject, I guess. But it's basically a fingerprint of data. So even if one little pixel changes in that image, you'll get a totally different hash out of that magic box, and that means that no one has ever fiddled with a picture or even resaved it because the pixels are exactly the same.
Wow, that's pretty wild. Are you going to come on to Proof of Love and talk about getting married? You guys should do that. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. So what's going on over at Vaultoro? Any action?
Oh, lots of stuff. We're developing Vaultoro 2.0 still. We're about to launch Vault Token, which is like a kind of a club membership, kind of like BNB, gives you discounts on trading and stuff like that. So this is very exciting. So anyone that joins up to Vaultoro now will be airdropping those down onto them. So definitely go and take that opportunity. Vaultoro.com. That's VAULTORO.com and start trading between Bitcoin and physical gold bullion.
That sounds good. All right. Well, I don't know. Why don't we talk to Michelle? Michelle, how's it going? Nice to have you on the show.
I know. This has taken a really long time. I don't know why we didn't do this before.
That's a very good question. We've actually known each other for a very long time. Have you ever met Josh, by the way, or no?
No, I haven't.
Well,
Yeah,
here
I
we
think
are.
must have passed in the corridors.
Yeah, no, I don't know. So I used to go to conferences all the time. And lately I've been so busy and that I barely get to go to any of this stuff anymore. I live vicariously through everybody who gets to travel.
Yeah, well, I've pulled back on conferences as well. Last year and the year before was insane. But I've just really knuckled down and focusing on development now. And I think a lot of people are getting like that. The old joke of the killer app for blockchain is conferences, but I think
Right.
people are getting a bit bored of that.
Well, I think it's actually kind of funny because I know Tatiana and I were talking about the things we wanted to discuss today, and I'm kind of a marketer by trade, and conferences for me were always that double-edged sword. Like, it was such a great way to meet people who were in the same space and super passionate, but you were really paying for a great vacation and to hang out in an echo chamber. So I always had that. I was always really kind of ambivalent, like, are conferences worth doing?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a really interesting question. And the echo chamber thing is very, very true.
Yeah, but I also think that you can build a lot of different relationships by going to conferences. I feel like that's been very good for me, but I'm also a little bit more social than the average person. And I think that really brings us to what we're going to talk about. Michelle, if you could give our audience a little background about, what you've been doing in this space and also your background in the political world. And then maybe we could talk about how the crypto marketing space has changed and what you're seeing, and maybe some tips for different companies that are listening, CEOs, entrepreneurs that are interested to get a little bit of insight. So yeah, I'd love it if you could tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. So I've actually kind of been aware of crypto since late 2012. It was my father who introduced me to Bitcoin and immediately fell in love with it, but I didn't really get the opportunity to do anything in the space until 2014. I was hanging out on Twitter doing what I do, and I got a private message from Paul Pui. I know he's a regular guest on the show with Edge Wallet, Airbits at the time, who said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing some social media work for a crypto wallet?" And at the time, the only experience I had with crypto wallets was actually, the Bitcoin wallet. And I thought, my gosh, there is no way I'm going to take social media and be able to explain to people and get them excited about downloading this thing and syncing a blockchain that takes like 40 hours. But he sent me the SDK for Airbits, and I was instantly in love with the ease of use. And so I agreed to see what I could do on social media for them. So that is kind of how I got into marketing, specifically social media. Prior to that, I had been that really crazy, very politically active libertarian who was talking about this digital currency. And I had a really, really decent political following across the political spectrum because I'm an equal opportunity complainer about the two-party system. And, very few people paid any attention at all to my tweets about Bitcoin early on. And, early on I was tweeting at Bitcoin and it was like $50. And I'm like, you guys really need to get in on this. It's going to change the world. And of course, when it hit 200, a few people were like, so tell me more about Bitcoin, which was, and that was kind of the pivotal thing for me. It wasn't so much the price of Bitcoin rising. I'm a true believer and not technically an investor, but it was the realization that there was just this wide, empty desert of information out there for the average person when it came to Bitcoin and then later other digital currencies.
Yeah, and I feel like people are still saying, "Oh, it's too expensive now." So, so what are you involved with currently?
Yeah, so I work now full-time with a company called Permission. We are in the space of kind of fixing the way personal data is used online. It's a big deal. I mean, the listeners of your show are familiar with a lot of other projects like BAT, for instance, Basic Attention Token and Brave. There's a whole ecosystem in this kind of crypto marketing where people have begun to realize that their personal data, thanks to Facebook and Cambridge Analytica, is not only worth a fortune. Marketing for personal data is about a $21 billion a year trade when it comes to advertising, but also when it comes to things like politics, obviously, medical science and behavioral and data research, psychological data research. I mean, data is literally, something that's become a cliche. It's the new oil, and it is a commodity that should be, as far as Permission.io is concerned, in your control as much as possible, and making you the money and not some third-party data broker. So
What do you
we
think a
are.
person is worth?
Oh, no, priceless. People are priceless.
Good answer.
It is. It's true. I mean, I'm also a huge believer in the potential of people. I see it every day on social media. People that start with an idea and turn it into this amazing revolutionary thing. I couldn't be involved in Bitcoin and not say people and ideas are priceless. But when it comes to data mining and social media, I think and purchasing power and involvement in the data economy, I think it's almost impossible to say what the personal data you're sharing with all of these online mediums is worth. There are a lot of estimates out there, and they range from like $2.76 to $46 a year per person. I would argue that as somebody who's been on several sides of marketing, that the right contact for a very low cost, like a very targeted advertisement in any retail to politics, is almost priceless. If I want to change your vote, knowing everything I can and building a profile about you like Cambridge Analytica did, can change the world. And if I'm a company on trying to decide where to spend my money for the best return on my investment, being able to build a complete buyer's profile on you and get the right ad to you at the right time cuts my cost dramatically and increases my revenue, even more so. So I think it's impossible to say specifically what a person is worth, especially in terms of retail, because it's really more about not wasting your time with marketing efforts that don't convert.
Wow.
Recently watched the documentary called The Great Hack on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I did too.
Did you? Yeah. And I don't know. I guess there's no spoilers here. Cambridge Analytica took a whole bunch of records and really profiled the entire world, I guess, but mainly the US and the UK, and marketed it. But what I found was I felt kind of manipulated by by a documentary that was saying that these firms are manipulating people because. Yeah. Because they had their own slant on things, and this woman, I've forgotten her name, who's one of the main characters in the documentary, was saying she started at the start saying, "Oh, with this phone call with her mother," and her mother was saying, "Oh, I need to pay $1,000, but I can't right now." And I was sort of having this personal conversation. She's like, "Oh, should I help pay for that?" And then it just cut to the rest of the documentary, and I thought, why did they leave that in, this weird personal conversation? And towards the end, they really wanted to say, well, she did all this with Cambridge and with Brexit because she needed the money.
Right.
No,
I actually had the same feeling watching it. I got about maybe 8-10 minutes into it, and I thought, I really got to set my personal feelings and biases aside if I'm going to get through this, because they're attempting to take this woman who was an executive in this global company and try to make her this, make you feel this incredible sympathy for her and this, admiration for her bravery for coming out. But I have a pretty good idea what she made as an executive, not just with Cambridge Analytica, but she also worked on, Cruz's campaign. She worked on Obama's campaign prior to that. And as somebody who has been involved in that political campaign world for more than a decade, I kind of have a good idea what she was making. So yeah, I had the same feeling. I'm like, wow, if they could just make a documentary that didn't include all of this emotional manipulation, that would be great.
Yeah. That was fascinating. And I thought, really, what did Cambridge Analytica do so wrong? Because I wanted to set aside my biases here. And of course, people are saying, well, they manipulated people. But it's not like that's new. I've had manipulation on television since forever. Smear campaigns and all this stuff is all manipulation. It was just that it was more of a dragnet. It was like, everyone can see this sort of campaign, whereas Cambridge really allowed them to find people that were still sitting on the fence and target a very specific marketing campaign at them. And
Right.
I feel like basically nothing changed, except what happened with Cambridge was it became a lot more efficient.
So that's interesting. I being in marketing, this is probably like the worst thing I could possibly say, but in the purest sense, marketing is exactly manipulation.
Yeah.
They're practically synonymous. And objectively, what Cambridge Analytica did was take all of this data that was available to them and build this incredibly efficient model to accomplish a very specific task. Tactically, it was obviously brilliant and an incredibly efficient use of the resources they had at hand. I think, the outrage isn't, the outrage, no one's going to admit they were manipulated. No one, right? It's just against human nature to say I'm easily manipulated and I was manipulated by ads on Facebook or whatever. But the reality is Cambridge Analytica, if everyone says they can't be manipulated, then what Cambridge Analytica did wasn't so bad. What Facebook did, however, is kind of where we get into the gray area even in marketing professionals is as to what's acceptable. The people you're targeting, and I like to focus on retail and information more so than politics, because politics is a cesspool on every side of every aisle. But
Yes.
when it comes to retail and you're competing for eyes and attention in a world that has been conditioned by social media in particular and by the online experience to ignore ads and or block them. 85% of millennials have installed an ad blocker or a browser that doesn't allow them to see any advertising. So if you're fighting for all of this attention, how do you get an edge? How do you get the eyeballs? And Facebook put itself in a position to be that data broker without really being above board what they were doing. You would have to be very naive or willfully ignorant to assume that Facebook wasn't collecting all of this information you put online and doing something with it. And buried very deep within their terms of service and their privacy policy was an explanation of exactly what they were going to do with it. But what they did with Cambridge Analytica wasn't even in their terms of service. And of course, Cambridge Analytica had been, according to the documentary and everything I've read, contacted by Facebook and told that the data they received, they weren't allowed to use for other campaigns. And they said they had deleted it, and it turns out they hadn't. But I don't think, I personally can't lay the blame just at Cambridge Analytica's feet or at Mark Zuckerberg's feet. Consumers themselves are aware. They know what they're putting out there on the internet, and they know that somebody is doing something with it. You can't go a week without hearing about a data leak or a hack, and now SIM swaps are happening because of social engineering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just had a SIM swap. That was no fun. We're actually going to have Bailey Reitzel come up and talk to us about it, because she's been talking to a lot of different people just on that specific problem alone. But when you talk about data and security, I think people are just naturally very averse to it, even if they know that that threat is out there. I don't know. I find it a very overwhelming process, and I'm sure the average person certainly does as well. But so what are you guys doing in order to offer that monetization back to the user? Is it something significant, or is it something that's used, let's say, like in a third world country, $2 a year? Obviously it's not that great, but it would still be something significant, whereas here it's basically nothing. What are you guys working on?
Well, so Permissionio, and me being in this space and the frustration of not being able to see this mass adoption I dreamed of, Permissionio has realized that you have to kind of close the ecosystem. You have to be able to get crypto, store crypto, spend crypto all in one platform. And it needs to be something you do every day. The frustration, I think, a lot of us in this space is there are so many amazing projects and incredible ideas and consumer-facing ones as well as B2B, but none of them have kind of lit a fire under people in general. So Permission.io is kind of offering a platform where you cannot you don't have to change your behavior. You go do something that you do every day. In our case, it's you are searching for products that you would buy just as you would on Amazon or Walmart or Alibaba, and you are able to purchase those right there from the platform. You can earn a crypto. Our token is ASK, as an ask permission, right there. And then you can also eventually, and by eventually I say I am beholden by by development promises I'm not allowed to make publicly, you'll be able to use your ASK on our platform to redeem discount codes or to purchase products directly with partners that agree to be a quote unquote permission marketer. And the thing about us is we realize your data is out there. You're not going to get your data back. You're not going to get your history, your fingerprint removed from the internet. But since it's out there anyway, you might as well be making money and profiting off of it yourself. And so you're allowed to go in and build a profile with as much or as little information as you want. And you are allowed to determine which marketers by your interests or your location or specific brands that you're interested in, you want to see advertisements or offers from. And at the same time, you can use our platform without ever creating an account and earning ASK. You can just go search for things and purchase them with the knowledge that we're not tracking anything. We're not tracking your buying habits. If you don't create an account with us, we're not tracking what you do. We don't track where you came from, where you go, what you buy, your IP, anything. So the idea is that people aren't going to change their behavior. They're going to do what they do on the internet, which it's convenient to buy, it's convenient to sell, it's convenient to chat. So let's at least give them the opportunity to do that in an environment that profits them and keeps them safe. Like you said, making yourself safe on the internet is a daunting process if you don't do it from the very beginning. If you're not careful, going back, there's just no going back. So giving them a platform to say, okay, I'm out there, at least let me control and profit off of this, is something we think is lacking in this space. Like, just something that doesn't require you to change your behavior at all.
That's really fascinating. Yeah, I think that there's a few really good use cases of so-called blockchain technology, where people take control of the data, and I guess this is one of them, is to say, rather than just giving my data out, I'm selling my data.
Right. And the interesting thing, I've been talking about the consumer benefits to this, but there are huge implications for brands and marketing agencies and, even nonprofits and things like that. If you are spending your time and energy and advertising budget reaching out to people who are expecting to hear from you, they very specifically said, yes, I'm willing to hear from you. I'm interested in what you have to say, or by this data profile I filled out, I'm looking to buy a new car or to refi my house or to travel abroad. You're far more likely to get that person as a customer actually buying your product. So you are targeting people who are expecting to be targeted. And I hate to use the word targeted, but that is the nomenclature in the marketing world. You are not spending any of your advertising money on ad and click fraud. There was a great article just yesterday or the day before in Vice about Americans running click farms and getting paid to do it to waste advertising funds. And these guys are saying, oh, I'd rather do that than deliver food or drive people around in my car all day to make money. So advertising fraud is a billion-dollar waste in the ad marketing industry. The blockchain keeping track of every one of those payments and the requirement that you complete a CTA, a call to action or a task, before you get paid means that you're not spending money on ad fraud. That puts companies like Moat and Double Verify, that are supposed to make sure that your ad spend is not being wasted, completely out of business. And in my mind, the blockchain being a ledger technology, there is no more obvious applications than being able to make sure your money is going where it's supposed to go and not being wasted. So for us, the blockchain functionality and even the crypto aspect are kind of secondary to the natural behavior of consumers and advertisers, but it provides a 100% immutable way of making sure advertisers' monies are going to real users and not fraud. I mean, that's huge for the advertising industry as well.
Oh yeah, click fraud's been a big thing for a very, very long time. I remember
Right.
in the late 90s, there used to be some application that would basically wiggle your mouse around the screen and just sort of click on things for you.
Right. I remember the crypto faucets where you could go watch videos very early on. And you know, they gave you a couple videos a day to watch, and you earned as long as you were watching. And it wasn't too long after I heard about those when I heard about a plugin that would make it appear that you were watching so that you got paid.
Yeah.
So I think, I think this is, I'm excited about what we're doing.
What do you
That's
see
very cool.
is the change within the crypto community in terms of ads? Like, what do you think was effective before, and what do you think is effective now to reach an audience?
In the crypto community specifically, I think that's been the frustration is, do people need this technological understanding of how crypto or blockchain works in order to use a product or get involved? Or do they need to be made to feel part of a community and get excited about this stuff? And I think, I've talked to you about this a lot since we both kind of work in this space marketing, is I think it's really hard to find a balance. Early on, crypto marketing on social media was all about information, trying to give people this basic understanding of how blockchain works and why crypto is so great, regardless of its application. A lot of infographics and, terms that people had never heard. And then over the last maybe 3 or 4 years, we've moved into this meme space where, making fun of the Fed and making fun of financial decisions and talking about the price fluctuations and kind of making fun of the community itself, all through memes. And in my opinion, there has to be some balance between those, because neither one of those tactics has been super useful for mass adoption. Like, there are accounts, and I'm going to throw some names out here just because I'm familiar, but Fast is an exchange that a crypto swap exchange, and they have this really hilarious Twitter account. They're all memes, they're all GIFs, they're a lot of fun. They run contests. Lolly is another one. They pay Bitcoin for people to shop at their partners, and they run this really fun, laid back account on Twitter and social media. And that's great. I think that gets a lot of people interested in hearing what they have to say, but it doesn't make evangelists, in my opinion. And the thing about the crypto community is, developers, God bless them and thank them for changing the world, they're terrible marketers. And there are so few marketers in this space that know how to understand the technology and translate it into layman's terms, and make it fun and exciting and memorable and interesting. I think what I've seen is kind of this, we still haven't found that balance of getting people convinced through hard information that they can take out and share with their friends, because word of mouth is still the best advertising, on the planet. And we also haven't found a way to keep them entertained enough to get past the daunting technological changes that crypto just flat out is. Crypto is not complicated, it's just new. And as a species, humans don't like new much.
Yeah, I really just want to go back to that meme idea. And really, cryptocurrency is kind of the first currency built by memes. It really is. It's even from its inception, it's been a kind of a funny side of crypto, is where the marketing was just constantly these images or these GIFs. And then when I watched that Cambridge Analytica doco, sorry to go back to that again, but a lot of what they were doing is pumping out memes.
Right.
and directing them at people. So this whole meme magic, I guess, where people, because I've seen it in the past where someone, a podcast like, let's say, Tone Vase's very popular podcast, will get maybe 2,000 views on one video. I've seen a comedy, a comedy-based crypto show where it only does one every so often, get massive amounts of views on one single show because it's super funny and you want to share it. And this is what memes do. People just obsessively sharing this stuff. They go a lot more, there's a lot more virality juice behind a good structured meme.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in the marketing world, virality is great. But the thing about virality is that it's a vanity metric, just like the number of followers somebody has on YouTube or Twitter. The number of followers, the number of shares, the number of likes, those make you feel good and they make you look really successful. But if everybody's clicking share and ha 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 on your meme and they never go download your app, then your virality isn't converting. It isn't actually convincing anybody. So and that's what I mean about somehow striking this balance of getting people on board, and memes do an amazing job of that, of getting people to say, oh, this person is funny, or they're worth paying attention to, they're witty. I kind of lean more towards wit than I do that slapstick comedy meme thing. I'm not really big into that. That's probably a function of my age. But to me, to get all of these things, you've got to build this marketing plan that includes all of this. You've got to get people interested in following you because you're funny or you're witty or whatever. And then you've got to, while you have their attention, give them something that is useful to go do that they can carry beyond clicking a like button or a share button on Twitter. So if I've got this product that is amazing, take Bitcoin itself, for example, memes get me excited because there's jokes about, the roller coaster with the price going up and down, and that's fun to watch. And that's really great. But if I want somebody to go download my wallet, I need to do more than get them clicking share or like on my memes and talking to me about, oh my gosh, look at all of this. Is this a bear market? Is this a bull market? I need them to go download my wallet. And so somewhere in between talking about how funny and fun this ecosystem and this community is, we've still got to get people to go download, use products, and then talk about how great the products are, not how great my Twitter account is. And I think, honestly, to your question, Tatiana, we still have not been able to strike that balance in crypto marketing where we take a project that, we might personally be really excited about and get people first to follow us because we're interesting or fun, and then take the information we're giving them and go back out to the world with it and say, okay, I've downloaded this. Yeah, their Twitter account's awesome, but really go try this, go check their product out. I think Lolly is getting a little bit better at that. I think Lolly started out very, very good at the stacking sats thing. I don't know if you saw very recently, they had some controversy about doing the little trademark symbol next to the phrase stacking sats. They did a great job. Creating something like stacking sats goes viral very quickly. Other people pick it up. And then they did a very smart thing in explaining why they use stacking sats and why they really do want the rest of the community to use it. That builds inclusiveness. It makes them feel like a trustworthy account. And then they immediately, when they needed to, were able to switch from that having fun online to being very serious about why this is important and why it's so huge that the community is open and sharing this kind of stuff. So, I not to say Lolly's the perfect account. Again, this is probably a function of my age. I lean more towards give me something useful. I think they're doing a better than average job of striking that balance.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I felt like it was funny because I've been saying stacking sats for years.
Years, right? Yeah, I've obviously seen it.
Yeah, it's usually with altcoin trading. It's like, oh, why do you trade? I always price stuff in BTC because I want to stack the sats, not the euros.
To see if you had only made it go viral.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, to your point, they just managed to take a really smart idea that maybe was or wasn't original and turn it into this great marketing / manipulation campaign. But that, like I said, that doesn't make people go sign up for Lolly and start, turning on that little browser plugin every time they shop. And to browser plugins, to things like that, to Edge Wallet's credit, and I'm sure there are a lot of other wallet projects out there that have realized this, you can't make people change their behavior. Crypto community hasn't figured out yet, hasn't gotten that killer application marketed well enough to where you're fitting into people's lives online without asking them to really change. So at Permission, that was kind of the really big marketing idea for us, is we can build this amazing product that protects your data and lets you earn crypto and lets you spend crypto. But if you have to go sign up for an account and you have to download a wallet and download 24 seeds and remember your backup password and install 2FA using a YubiKey and enter 3 different passwords before you can make a purchase, or no one is going to use this product. And so the idea, and not just in development and design and UX, but also in marketing, is to convince people that yes, your project is based on this technology that you're not very familiar with, but 90% of you go turn the key in your car and drive it without knowing how your car works either. And so we really are trying to downplay the technology behind what we're building and upsell the benefits of using our platform over something like, say, Facebook, their Facebook shops or Google shopping, because we don't collect your data. Facebook's not getting paid, you're getting paid. And this fits into the experience, is very familiar. It fits into your life. It's something you do every day. We're not asking you to abandon Facebook or abandon Google or abandon eBay or anything like that. Just come to Permission 2. Check it out. It's a new store. It's a new platform. It's a new search, whatever. Try it. If you like it, you can earn ASK. You can earn Ask while you're here. So I think, like I said, marketing for me is a psychological, what's wrong, pull it apart and see if we can fix the thing. And the crypto community hasn't fixed it yet.
Well, I think these insights are pretty useful, I think, even if we haven't quite come up with the magical solution. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap?
I mean, I guess the last thing is that really, when it comes to marketing, I think still at the end of, after all of this, content is still king.
Absolutely. So what does, I think the crypto community itself has to figure out what content is great. You mentioned, YouTube channels and shows and things like that. I watched 99 Bitcoins, right? I'm not a developer. I mean, let's just say I know nothing about code. I have this great understanding of what blockchain is and how it works. But if I want to know about Bitcoin, I don't want to talk about proof of work or proof of stake or proof of authority or proof of existence. I don't want to talk about those things.
I don't even want a meme. I don't even want a comedy meme. I just want some interesting article that tells me what it's about.
That tells me what it's about and how I can use it and how it applies to me personally. I think 99 Bitcoins does this really great once a week, this week in Bitcoin. To me, that is prime content for my consumption. And if we could somehow find a way to take that kind of content, that informational content, in bite-sized chunks and make it a little more entertaining, we might have that magic sauce.
Spot on.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks, Michelle, for joining us. If people want to join you, where do they find you online?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm Ragnar's mate. Talking mostly about crypto these days. Try to avoid the politics thing as much as I can. And you can find Permission at Permissionio on Twitter. Love to have you follow us.
Thanks. And Josh is over at Voltoro. You can find me at Queen Tatiana. The Tatiana show airs on Tuesdays. We'll see you next time. And also make sure you're checking out Proof of Love. proofoflovecast.com is where all the old episodes is. Me and Stephanie Murphy from Let's Talk Bitcoin and Lauren Kasovitz, and we're talking about relationships and some spicy stuff too. So we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone. This episode of The Tatiana Show is brought to you by Vaultoro. Vaultoro is a gold hedging solution for the crypto community. One of the challenges of investing in cryptocurrencies is dealing with volatility. Keeping a diversified portfolio is a key to healthy returns. I keep about 10% of my crypto assets in gold using Vaultoro. Vaultoro allows me to open a gold wallet in seconds where I can easily trade with cryptos and gold. What I like about using Vaultoro instead of Tether is that the gold in my Vaultoro wallet is insured, audited, vaulted in Switzerland, and unlike fiat money, gold has increased in value for the last 20 years. Visit vaultoro.gold/Tatiana today and get 0 trading fees for the first 3 months. That is vault, like a gold vault, and oro, which is Spanish for gold. Vaultoro, ole! Hey there, it's time for the show, the Tatiana Show, where you make friends and talk life and crypto. We gotta think and reflect and use lots of intellect with our hearts when we work together. I know that it can be so hard out there, looking all around and saying that life ain't fair. So that is why we will fight and stay up late at night, listening to the Tatiana Show. What's the point of all this technology without a little love in our lives? Our hosts, Tatiana Moroz, Dr. Stephanie Murphy, and Lauren Kasovitz, have come together to bring you Proof of Love. Go to proofoflovecast.com. Thank you for listening to The Tatiana Show. Please follow us on Twitter at Queen Tatiana or on Facebook and Instagram at Tatiana Moroz Music. More episodes can be found at thetatianashow.com, and make sure you leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends. The Tatiana Show has been brought to you by CryptoMediaHub.com, a boutique marketing and PR agency for Bitcoin and beyond.